In this video, I'm going to cover what it means to be successful, how we define success, and when you think of all the outrageously successful people in our lives today, what is it that combines all of them and gives them the drive and the ability to succeed on such a high level?
Being successful can mean so many different things, and it all depends on how you want to define success. For some people, that might be being a billionaire, being uber wealthy. For some people, it could be being a movie star, or a famous scientist, or something like that. Or it can be something much smaller, something more common. It could be having a small family and having a happy marriage. That could be your success. So, what is it then that makes these uber successful people so outrageously excellent in whatever it is they try to do? And the answer is they cut loose. And what do I mean by this? Because this could mean so many different things. Let me give you the backstory first.
When I was younger, I was fascinated with Steve Jobs, absolutely fascinated. And every time he would have a press conference, I would be the first one to watch it. I watched the whole thing. And what really struck me even then was his remarkable ability to communicate. And so I grew up with this very narrow definition of success. Someone who was extremely smart, someone who had a very sort of business-centric mind, and also at the same time could connect with absolutely everyone and get them through the sale. And so my whole life, this was the definition. And it had a big effect on me growing up.
So how then does this connect to Steve Jobs? There's an example of Steve Jobs, and I think it was from Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. And Kevin asked him, what are they going to do for marketing? Like, what's their target market? And Steve Jobs said, we don't do market analysis because we create the demand. And that sort of passion is remarkable. Most people don't have that. And so what I mean with cut loose, it means to have grit. Let's say you're a struggling artist. Or let's say you want to be that. Let's say that's what you truly want to do. And everyone in your life says you shouldn't do it. Well, let me say this. There is a good point. I've heard a saying that if 99 out of 100 people say don't do something, either you really shouldn't or you're about to change the world. And I'm going to slightly disagree with this quote, and the reason is that even if they are right, still do it. Because what you need to do is you need in life to have a long series of failures. And there's no getting around it. And so what you need to learn to be successful is that if there's an opportunity somewhere and you miss it, do not dwell on it. I have this tendency too. And it's a thing that I think most people do. And this can apply to absolutely anything, but let me use business for example. If you form a company and it doesn't work, then fix it the next time. Either fix the one you have, if you can, and if not, stop and do it over.
So then what does this all mean? I want you to think, for example, of a 30-year-old who wishes they'd started playing the piano at 10, 20 years before that day. And they think, when they reminisce about the past, oh God, I wish I'd played piano. I'd be so good now. And so that 30-year-old decides, no, I'm too old to do it. But then, 20 years later, that person is 50 years old, and they look back at their 30-year-old self and say, God, if only I had started then. And 20 years after that, when they're 70, they're going to look back at what they're 50, and although they might be a little bit older, it may not play as well as they would if they had started younger, but they still could have been playing for 20 years. Because they thought at 50 that they were too old. The point I'm trying to make is that action is always the best bet. Now, you can be patient. Sometimes you can, and sometimes you have to wait for opportunities. But once that opportunity comes, if you don't take action, it's gone. And so your best bet then is to find another path. Find another opportunity to take advantage of. If you didn't, if an opportunity was there yesterday and it isn't there today, find another one. Because ultimately, there are so many different ways you can be successful, but it's all about changing your mind. Being successful is about a mindset that you have. It's not the acquisition of wealth itself. That's not success. It is, to some extent, but it's not the whole picture, because you're not going to get to that point if you don't have a mindset that says, for example, I'm going to have my money work for me, and I'm going to have those workers be the bosses of someone else who are in turn going to work for me as well. And that's the beauty of success. Just like money, reputations do the same thing. To gain influence, to be truly successful in that, you want exponential growth. And you're not going to have that if you don't have the mindset that understands the way that works.